Hi, and welcome to week 7, interpreting wisdom texts in the Old Testament. So now we're going to be moving to our last genre, which is wisdom, as we explore different types of genres in the Old Testament. So our lesson objectives are to identify the different elements that characterize the wisdom of genre, to apply a prescribed methodology for the interpretation of biblical wisdom texts, to compose a ministry application based upon the exegesis of a Job passage, to defend a theological position from the book of Job, and to identify the similarities and differences between Egyptian wisdom literature and biblical wisdom literature. So that's a lot to accomplish this week. In assignment 7.1, we're going to look at Proverbs and how to interpret different Proverbs. So after reading Klein, Fee, and the book of Proverbs, I want you to complete the chart that we've attached to the week. And in this assignment, you will analyze and interpret the meaning and identify an application for several different Proverbs. As Proverbs employ elements of poetry, you may need to refer back to Klein and in the discussion that we had a few weeks ago on biblical poetry in order to best interpret a proverb. Then for assignment 7.2, comparing wisdom literature, I want you to create a blog post. While reading the teaching of Amenope, keep an eye out for parallels and similarities to the biblical Proverbs. Keep searching until you find at least 3 and write down the examples that you find. Based upon your study of Amenope and Proverbs, write a 1-page or 450-word single-spaced blog that reflects upon the following questions. What do you think about the fact that there are parallels between the book of Proverbs and the literature of the ancient Near East? Also, are you surprised? Are you encouraged? Are you horrified? Or are you fascinated? And how does your personal understanding or personal emotional response impact how you interpret this similarity? And then finally, how would you explain the parallels? Why do they exist? So that's assignment 7.1 and 7.2. We also have a discussion post on suffering and where is God. After reading Fee, Babcock, and Job, as well as outside research, engage with this week's discussion assignment. One of the main questions in the book of Job is how a just God could exist when suffering is so common on earth. I want you to write a 1-page, 250-word letter responding to a friend who approaches you saying that they cannot believe in a God who allows suffering. Be sure to use biblical evidence to support your argument in your letter. When you're making a discussion in your discussion post or when you're responding to other people's posts, try to engage with their logic. How did they put their position together? And do you have any suggestions or discussion for how that argument could be improved or changed? As a last thought, don't forget to complete your course evaluations. And feel free to call me or email me with questions. As you know, I've been serving these last few weeks in Syria and in Iraq, and I hope to be back in the Western world by the time this week occurs. I'm recording this lecture early, just in case I'm delayed. But I look forward to giving some thoughts as to kind of how the last few weeks being among the refugees impacts my own personal view of this question of how does God exist in the midst of suffering in the world. So have a great week. I look forward to engaging in this discussion question with you, and I'll talk to you soon.